Most online coaching businesses are just a job that you own, and your ability to break out of them is actually the cornerstone of your business. Like, can you actually scale out of this in order to turn this into something that grows without you and not just reliant on you? In my time, I've seen 3 systems that really help people turn this corner, and it gets you out of that trap of working 60 hours a week. So we're going to go over them today. The first and foremost is the sales and marketing system. So can you actually have a process where people get in contact with you and purchase from you that is seamless and not reliant on you? Now, I would define a system that is reliant on you is when someone inquires, you're the one who calls them, reaches out to them, SMSs them, and if you don't do that, you don't make the sale. So that's probably what a lot of people have, and this is the way that we kind of get out of that. But I'm going to walk through the 2 major systems that you can build that don't rely on you doing that. So the first one is content and ads. So this is how 90% of coaches are getting their business right now anyway. They funnel them into a lead magnet. So they are getting a free resource that is super valuable, that is partial of your coaching service. So that could be a free training program. That could be a free meal plan, a health audit, something along those lines. To which, when they have downloaded that, they are put into a nurture sequence. And when they are adequately been nurtured, they will purchase from you via a link. The secondary system of this is content and ads. It could be referrals, it could be cold outreach, but content and ads leads to an inquiry on your page, type form, website, doesn't matter. They then book a call, either being prompted directly to book a call after they have inquired, or they are redirected after the fact, and then they make a purchase from you on that call. Now, looking at this as a whole, it's not complicated, but the issue that people have is that they don't have a repeatable system here. I would advise you either choose one of these 2. Do you want to do sales calls, or do you want to not do sales calls? If you don't want to do sales calls, then the top one is right for you. This is heavily reliant on you being a good writer and a good communicator, because the reason why you need to be a good writer is, 1, you need to write good content. But 2, you need to be able to nurture people in your email marketing sequence. If you can't do that and you're more of a talker, more of a people person, more of an engagement and feed off people's vibes, then you're probably better off doing this one. So the way that you can do this is build good content, build good ads, have a good lead magnet, have a good inquiry process, nurture or book a call, and then so they purchase, with the end goal of always being purchase. This system at the top, the platforms that you can use to do this, obviously content and ads, TikTok, whatever, Instagram, Facebook. Your lead magnet, to build this, you can literally just build a PDF, so a Canva PDF. You can then have an inquiry page, well, a lead magnet squeeze page, where they give you their information. So right now, the easiest way to do something like this is like a leadpages.com, or you could do Go High Level if you have Go High Level, or you could literally build it yourself in something like vo.dev or Lovable. Lovable is one I haven't spoken about too much on the channel here, but you could say create a really simple squeeze page for my lead magnet. Let me just log in real quick. Just takes a second. But basically, Lovable gives you the opportunity to use these tools really quickly. So you can build a squeeze page really fast, and you don't have to worry too much about all of the junk that building different platforms and etc. Let's build. Let's go. All right, that's running. Let that run. And then in the nurture, you literally could use like a MailChimp, ActiveCampaign, kit.com. It's probably kit.com. If you're not using like a CRM, you could use, this is a great alternative, Lil Jon. And you could build your email list inside here. It allows you to write emails, and the best kind of emails are ones that feel like you're just writing a letter to a friend. Then in order to run your purchase, so you actually want to get them to buy something off you, you can use Stripe or something like Fanbasis if you really want to. And we take a quick look. This is still building. I'll jump onto the next one whilst this is running so I can continue on. This one here is a little bit more complicated because you need calendars, you need to track the leads throughout a CRM. So you have content and ads. Your inquiry is you would run this on a Go High Level form or something along those lines. And then you'll book a call, again, Go High Level calendar or Calendly. And then when they purchase from you, it is a Stripe notification, Stripe link as well. Or you can capture their card details and run it yourself if you have a way of doing that. This is still running. It's taking a bit of time. But hey, I'll show you in a second. So this process can be 90%, like 100% automated if you're doing the top one, but 90% automated if you're doing, that's a little bit further than that actually, if you're doing the bottom. So if you can do this, if you can implement this system, you can delegate this system. So the way that I mean you can delegate this system is it doesn't, oops, I don't want to get rid of that. It doesn't always have to be you, for example, doing the sales call. So like the sales call happens here, it could be a closer. It doesn't have to be you taking that inquiry call, right? If you do call people when they first send you their information, you could have someone else do that. Being able to delegate this into a system is really important. This top one, you build it once. So long as you're a strong content creator, you never really have to touch it again, provided it works. So that is the first system that I would always recommend you build, and you've got an option of 2. Hopefully this is done. All right, it just gave me a little doodle-doodle. Should be ready to go. It's still loading. All right, we'll move into the next one and we'll check on that in a second. Your next one is your fulfillment OS. So how do your clients actually win? So much of business gurus and shit these days talk about this. I'll get you 30 appointments in 30 days. Great. What happens if I can't handle 30 appointments in 30 days? Which most of you can't. And we've got our squeeze page here. This looks actually not too bad. So we've got our free guide. They enter their details and get your free guide now and just have that download on the end. That's really easy. You can just give it some photos. It would customize it to your business. But how do they win? How do your clients actually succeed? Because you could sell them into coaching, but if they do not get a result, it is not worth their time and they will not stay with you. So can someone go from purchase made to welcome message sent to onboarding form sent? They fill it out and you make sure they fill it out. Their information is populated into your coaching system and they are winning without you lifting a finger. There is a world where that is possible. Now, if you are someone who manually sends out a welcome message, manually sends the onboarding form, sends reminders about, hey, have you filled out the onboarding form? You are someone who could benefit greatly from what I'm going to say. So the way that you look at doing this is the purchase made, it starts this whole thing. So if you're using Stripe as your payment processor, you can have a Zapier or a make.com automation that starts the next step. So Stripe then sends a notification to Go High Level using Zapier to send out this welcome message. Same message for every single person, and it can include the onboarding form. So the first message is something like this. It's like, hey, name, thanks so much for signing up. Got the payment sorted. Here is your onboarding link, www.onboarding.com, right? When they have filled out this information, so they've done step 1, they've done step 1 and that's been sorted, they filled out their form. The next automation that you have is over here. So the form is filled out, form completed. Now it's on you to have them populated into your system. So if you're using Trainerize, for example, a very simple Zapier automation is form completed and then the step in Trainerize is new user. And what you can do is delegate a master program to them. You can delegate what habits they need to be assigned, and you can make sure that they're actually on your platform. They get a welcome message inside the platform too, so that they're kicking goals straight away. And this is without you lifting a finger. Obviously, there are parts in here that you might need to jump in and help out with. For example, if you have, so let's just look at our little workflow diagram here. If you have these steps being completed, but you know that you do custom training programs for everyone, once they have completed this form and new user, your next step could be an automated task creation in your project management tool to create training program / meal plan, right? And that might take you 10 minutes at best. But instead of having to do this fuck around of purchase made, okay, I need to send this welcome message, I need to make sure they fill out the onboarding form, etc. And just really quickly, the way that you make sure that they fill them out is you have them in a GHL sequence that continues to run for 24, 48 hours until the form is completed. And when it is completed, you just tag them in GHL and remove them out of the workflow. If you need more information on that, I can explain it to you with a diagram. But now they're winning without you lifting a finger, or lifting one finger instead of 10. So that's really great. The next process from here is making sure you understand the customer journey. If you understand the customer journey, if you're only like stepping out these points, then customer journey isn't really a big problem. You've got two bigger problems, which is like getting this system implemented, and then your next one is like mapping out that the CX journey, the customer journey. If you want me to go deeper in that, I can, but I'm going to skip that for now because the next one is how do you visualize your win? And the way that I talk about this is like your data operating system. How do you create a dashboard of the information that is presented here? I'm going to do my best to step this out. It's a little bit complicated, but I'm going to do my best. I'm going to change color here. I want like this color. I'm going to color in the parts you should be tracking at an absolute minimum. Lead magnets. So how many people have downloaded your lead magnets? How far they get through the nurture sequence until they make a purchase? How many purchases are being made? And if you're doing the bottom system, how many inquiries you get? How many of those book a call? The time that it takes for someone to go from inquiry to book call, because you want to minimize that. And if we just pull back here for a second, you want to know how much you're spending on ads, how much each lead costs you. So each lead from the bottom system point of view, so how much it costs you to get someone to inquire. So you might spend $100 on ads and you might get 3 leads from that. So that means your cost of an inquiry is 100 divided by 3. You also then want to track booked calls and how much they cost you. So your ads, if you spent $100 on ads and 3 of these became 2 booked calls, then you're at $50 per booked call. The way that you can track this is in dashboards, and you can automate this and bring this information across. It really just depends on the platforms that you're using. Now, in terms of tracking data on here, how many purchases that you've made, how many times your onboarding form has been completed, how long it takes someone to go from purchase to onboarding form completed. When they've filled that out, how quickly do they get started on their first training session over here? So from onboarding form to training session, how fast can you get people training? This is an important metric for customer retention. At the end of the day, if you can't see this information, you can't make decisions on this information. And I think that if you just implemented these 2 systems alone, albeit I went through this really scrappily, at the end of the day, if you implement these, you'll be able to have a business that actually runs despite of you, because you could take a weekend off and you could still get leads, right? You might have a backlog of content. You might have ads running. You might have people downloading your lead magnet. You're always nurturing them because you're not actually sending those emails manually. You're doing it via an automation. People are purchasing without you. Do you understand what kind of power that is? And I'll be really honest, if you want some perspective, right now, my business is none of these. Well, this one I have actually pretty dialed, but I don't have this, right? And it's plagued me for a long time because everything I do is so custom. But now I'm literally building out what I implement into businesses right here. So Sales OS, Fulfillment OS, and Data OS, right? These are the three things that I implement and sell. Getting these systems and getting this productized service isn't easy. And I say I've been plagued with it because obviously I do this for coaching businesses all the time, but my own business is a little bit different. So I need to go through this process too of understanding, how do people find me? YouTube, really good example. How do they get in contact with me? Do they go through a lead magnet and do they nurture themselves and do they purchase? Or do they inquire, they talk to me about their business and do they book a call? It's really good information to understand. Oops, don't delete content. So I hope you guys found this valuable, and I'm filming on Loom because Camtasia had a meltdown. So I hope it was all right. Have a good day. I'll speak to you soon.